Hey guys, Tyler here with the Kingdoms trading card game, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. You guys are in for a treat, as this is going to be a gameplay video that will be unlike others that I have released in the past. I put a lot of work into this one with some green screen effects and some sound effects, and so I'm really excited to see what you guys think. I would really appreciate some comments below. Now, I was going to scrap this video because I lost about 15 minutes of footage that are right in the middle of the gameplay, but you know, I thought I want to give you guys just a little sample. So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. Well, you guys are in for a treat today for our Kingdoms gameplay video. Our first deck featured is the Kingdom of Silvermoor, primarily a Tanis build using Mountain Yeti, Tradesman, Moor, Craftsman. Also featured is the deck of Winterton using Eli the Magi, Winterton Huntress, and Winterton Loyalist. So let's jump back to the first deck. Now this deck is a Tanis build. Mountain Yeti will be a common card used to attack and draw cards. Tradesman, a unique card, phase 1 drop with high health, and then Moor Craftsman is kind of an engine to get some card draw and buff some cards. Definitely excited to see this combination work together. And then for the Winterton deck, an exclusive Winterton deck using Winterton Loyalist to protect all of its cards, Huntress to really show what the Winterton deck is supposed to do, and Eli the Magi to offer more protection. Let's go ahead and jump into the gameplay. Well, alright, let's go ahead and get started for this game. As indicated on the text in your upper right hand corner, on the left will be Zach playing with this Winterton deck, and then on the right will be Joe playing with the Tanis build, primarily featuring the Kingdom of Silvermoor. During the course of this video, there will be random moments where, kind of teaching moments to teach you to play the game if you're not familiar with how to play. So right now the players are just kind of getting everything set. They're shuffling their fortresses, which is your deck, which is 40 to 60 cards, and now they're looking at their sacred deck, which has 5 unique cards, and they're picking right now which phases. You pick 2 sacreds for phases 1, 2, or 3, and then your opponent chooses the other ones. As you can see, game mats available on the Game Crafter. These 2 game mats, they are used obviously for these videos to show you where the zones are for the game, and you can get a mat just like this on the Game Crafter. The description will be in the description box below. I should say the link. So Joe has already picked his sacreds. It looks like he has picked his first and his third sacred. Zach is still determining what he is going to pick, and then Joe has his remaining 3 sacreds ready for Zach to choose. Zach is going to put a sacred in his sacred phase slot 1 and sacred phase slot 3, so they will both be picking their respective second sacreds. Now, it is important to note that after you pick your opponent's sacred, you give their 2 cards, their 2 unused sacred cards, back to your opponent, and then you are not allowed to look at those 2. That is supposed to be unknown knowledge to you as a player. Now, obviously, if they are picking your phase 1, then once you reveal your phase 1, then you obviously know what other cards excuse me, what other cards haven't been used. So now that sacreds have been picked, before you draw your hand of 6 cards, you reveal your first sacred, draw your 6 cards, then you can mulligan, you roll the 2 goes first, and you go from there. Alright, so on the left, Zach has revealed a Frozen River Trail for his first sacred, which sits at 1,000 health, and then Joe also revealed a Marketplace, which sits at 1,400 health. Now, Frozen River Trail is going to be perfect for Winterton. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a lot of health, only 1,000 health, which really isn't that great in terms of sacreds, but it's going to give him an extra card to start out the game, which is perfect because Winterton and really boring kingdoms in general do not have exceptional card draw, so this will be great for them. And then just being able to call cards cheaper. Boring kingdoms need to strike fast and strike cards, so this card's going to help that happen, so that'll be good. Now, as for Joe, Marketplace is going to be great because Tanis Kingdoms, they have card draw, but they're a little slow going. They kind of do it unconventionally, so Marketplace is going to enable him to dig through his deck as he needs to. Now, Joe is going to choose a mulligan 2 cards, and you can see that the health was adjusted in the upper right-hand corner down to 1,200. Any card that that you discard is minus 100 health to your sacred. You take the cards that you're mulliganing, you set them aside, draw replacement cards, and then shuffle those old ones back into your fortress. So now that hands have been set, everyone's kind of getting some final shuffles in, getting things ready to go. And then what they're going to do is that they're going to roll the dice to see who goes first. Honestly, not too sure what the advantage would be in going first or second at the moment. But obviously, I think each of them have made up in their own mind what they would prefer. So again, just doing some final shuffling, using some card sleeves. It's always fun to play with some card sleeves. It makes gameplay a lot easier. And again, playing on just any game mat material makes gameplay that much better. Really excited to see this match. Personally, I'm really excited to see Winterton. I have not seen an exclusive Winterton deck used yet. I have not seen a Silvermoor Pure deck used, but it is cool seeing a lot of Silvermoor cards be featured in the Tanis build that Joe is using. Really excited to see these two. Now, Winterton was built with Tanis Kingdoms in mind to be a direct counter, so I'll be curious to see if this Tanis build can find a way to work around it. Alright, so now they're just going to have to grab some dice to roll who goes first, and let's go from there. So it looks like a 2 and a 1 was rolled. I believe Joe was the one that rolled the 2, and they're going to determine who goes first, and Joe is going to decide to go first. If you're the person that goes first in the Game of Kingdoms, you do not draw a card, and you do not get to attack on that turn. Alright, so let's see what Joe's going to do. He does have 5 Magicka. You always start out with 5 Magicka at the start of every single one of your turns. Joe is going to open up with a Recruitment. Recruitment is an exceptional spell if you're playing with the Kingdom of Silvermoor. It's going to enable him to either look at his graveyard for a Tanis battle card or search his fortress for a neutral battle card. Obviously, because the game has just started, he has no cards to look for in the graveyard, which Tanis cards are known for doing. They like looking in the graveyard, but they also like looking for neutral cards in their fortress. And so Joe is going to search out a neutral battle card in his fortress, and obviously because this is a deck that he has built, he knows exactly what card he's going to look for, and he's going to open up with a Tradesman. Tradesman is cost 4 phase 1. What really makes it nice and juicy is the fact that it has 600 health, so it's a great way just to put a body on the field and make an annoyance. And really what might be an advantage to Joe is if he can keep that on the field, maybe start playing some more Craftsman, and he can start buffing that over time. So that's going to be his turn. Now it's going to be passed on to Zach. Zach is going to use the effect of Frozen River Trail, which says when revealed, draw a card, and then he gets to draw a card just because it's simply the start of his turn. He is going to play a 3 token, which will cost 3 Magicka. He will have to discard a card as well, and so now it's going to have him sitting at 8 Magicka. So definitely a great way to start. He is going to send a Longi Rider to the graveyard. He only has 2 Magicka left to spend for this turn, so he's trying to figure out what he's going to spend. Does he want to spend the 2 to put a card out there to have it possibly be destroyed? And it looks like he is going to do that. It appears that he's going to play a Winterton Loyalist. Winterton Loyalist is a major protector for the Kingdom of Winterton. Certainly it's a body to put on the field, but really it stands out as a card that is in your fortress and in your graveyard. Now, it's always courteous when you're playing the game to make sure you're showing each other what each other's cards do in case you aren't knowledgeable, in case your opponent isn't knowledgeable about what your card does. So this is kind of Zach to let Joe read it, and Joe's just kind of getting an understanding of, okay, what does this card do? This is good knowledge for him. It's also worth pointing out in terms of game knowledge, graveyards are open knowledge to both players, and they don't have to remain in a particular order. Players are allowed to look at them whenever. Zach did decide to swing in for an attack with 300 health, and so that drops Joe's marketplace down to 900 health, and that's going to be a pass turn to Joe. So Joe's going to start his turn, and unclear if he did do the marketplace effect. We will know right away if he ends up sending a card to his discard or not. And Joe only has 5 Magicka right now, which stinks, but we'll see what he can do. Maybe he can get a token, or at least start continuing to build a board state until he finds a token. So he did do the marketplace effect. He's going to send a Silvermoor Saint to the graveyard, but I'm sure he has some ways of recurring that card back to his hand or back to the field. You can, throughout this match, you'll see the camera get adjusted a couple times. Unfortunately, the camera wasn't put properly onto the camera stand, so it moves just a little bit, but that will be a-okay. Joe looking at his hand, seeing what he has. It looks like he has a couple Phase 1 cards, but again, because he only has 5 Magica to spend, he needs to choose wisely, and he is going to end up playing a Prize Beauty. Prize Beauty at Phase 4, or I'm sorry, cost 4 Phase 1, again with 600 health. Prize Beauty came out as a set 2.5 card. Fun fact, was a card based off of my brother-in-law's now wife, also on set 2.5. I came out with a card based off of him. Every now and then I like to have a card come out that is based off of people that I know. So it was fun making 2 cards based off of people that I know. Joe is going to decide to swing into attack, I believe, and he's just kind of showing some people what Prize Beauty does. You know, it's kind of tough. Winterton Loyalist only has 200 health and only 300 attack, so it's not a whole lot, but Joe knows what Winterton Loyalist does, and so do you want to send it to the graveyard? Do you want to keep it on the field? I don't know. That's a decision that he has to make. So it is going to be past Zach's turn. Zach looks like he drew a Promissory Note, which is a great card draw card. That's perfect for him. And as you can see by the text indicated, Joe did end up swinging directly for 200 at Zach Sacred. He's not chipping all the way, but he's chipping slow enough to do some damage. Zach coming out with a strong turn. Going to play an Ice Archer and an Eli the Magi, which will pop up on the screen in just a second. Ice Archer is great. It has two effects that you can choose from, in addition to the ability Rage, where you can draw a card and then discard a card, or you can deal 100 direct damage, or 200 direct damage to your opponent's Sacred. So I'll be curious to see what one Zach chooses in this moment. I maybe would opt for the card draw, and it looks like that's what Zach is going to do because he needs to get his hand full of cards. So that Ice Archer is coming in clutch, and then that Eli the Magi will be a great protecting card for right now. Alright, so jumping into later in the game, we have Joe on the right side, Phase 2 Schwal Waterfall. Zach on the left side, just getting launched to what appears to be Phase 3 Skylight Fountain. Skylight Fountain seems right now to be the meta card to run at Phase 2 or Phase 3. So it'll be interesting to see what Zach's going to do because he is on the back foot. Joe has a great board state right now. You can see he still has that Prize Beauty on the field from earlier in the game. He has a Long Swordsman. He has a Mosaic version of Mountain Yeti, as well as, let me get a clarification. Sometimes hard to tell what card's on the field. That is a Stalip Master of Sense, which is from the village of Glast. And Joe does have the 3 token on the field, so he is sitting comfortably at 8 Magica, so this is looking pretty good, but Zach does have quite a comfortable amount of Magica as well. So Zach just trying to stay on the back foot right now. He is going to be calling out 2 Winterton battle cards to the field, and he actually is going to renege a card that he is playing. So he has called let's see. So he has called a Winterton Huntress to the field, and at the top of your board, he has called what appears to be a Longi to the field. So actually, Zach is going to be a little bit cheeky, which is how this deck is meant to run, using Winterton Huntress's effect. Instead of attacking with Winterton Huntress, you may deal 400 damage to an opponent's Sacred. So that's what he is going to do to Joe's Sacred. And so Joe's just going to adjust his health accordingly if Zach does decide to do that. Rather, he's going to instead attack Stalip Master of Sense to get him off the board. With 600 attack, that should take care of that card nice and easily. And then Longi sitting at 400 attack. Curious to see what Zach is going to do with that, because Skylight Fountain, even though it's a great Sacred, it's kind of a temporary board lock. You got to keep cards on the field, so you can't just go guns a-blazing. Zach does have the Isabel Spirit on that Sacred, which did allow him to deal some immediate damage directly to the Sacred, but still, with Joe being in Phase 2, he is sitting quite comfortably. So right now, Zach is certainly seeming like he's on the back foot for this match, and you can't hear in the audio, but Zach is starting to wonder, what does he do? Joe does draw a card to take his turn. Looks like he's not going to call a card to the field. Maybe he has some Phase 3 cards, or just doesn't feel like anything would be appropriate to call right now. So now he's trying to figure out what he wants to do. Unfortunately, Prize Beauty and Long Swordsman don't have tremendous attack, but thankfully, Winterton cards have very low health and just boring kingdoms altogether. So Joe is going to swing in with the Long Swordsman, and it looks like he wants to destroy the Winterton Huntress. Currently, Zach is looking through his graveyard. Graveyards are open knowledge to both players, and you can look back through them whenever you want to. Zach just kind of looking at cards in his hand, cards in the fortress. And he is searching out on Winterton Loyalist. Again, Winterton Loyalist, those are great protector cards within the Kingdom of Winterton. Zach is just going to explain to Joe what's going on. And thankfully, Zach did have that Loyalist in his graveyard, having some in the hand, so he still has that ability or that effect to use. Winterton Loyalist effect that you can use it about, I think 5 times per game based on having it in your hand and in the graveyard. So Joe's just getting some clarification on how that works. It is not a destroying card, so it doesn't destroy the attacking card, but it just delays the inevitable, you could say. So the Long Swordsman attack does nothing, and now Joe's trying to figure out what else he wants to do. Winterton, just like Linford, once they start running out of momentum, it can be hard to kind of keep it. So Loyalist is kind of that one card that helps Winterton stay in the match. Of course, we haven't seen a lot of Winterton gameplay so far, so it is interesting seeing a Winterton deck be fully utilized and seeing just how good they actually are. Joe's still trying to figure out because even though he's ahead, Winterton, as you can see, each turn Zach is taking a turn. He's able to lay down maybe 2-3 cards at a time. He does have Isabel, that spirit there that could bolster some cards. So Joe definitely has to be careful on how he's using his turn. He's going to use Prize Beauty to destroy the Longi up the top, and now it is back to Zach's turn. Looks like Zach is going to draw a Winterton spell, which is, let me look it up real quick, is the Winterton Tactics, which is arguably, in terms of Borum spell cards, is one of the best spell cards in the game. So now it's going to be curiosity. What is Zach going to search out? Winterton Tactics. It allows you to search, but it has to be after your attack phase. Search your fortress and your graveyard for a battle card. You get to free play one, and then you get to keep the other in your hand. So I'm not sure at this point what Zach would maybe want to search out. The thing is unfortunately a lot of Winterton cards, they just don't have a lot of health. But maybe just anything like Ice Archer. Winterton Huntress would be great, Lead Ambusher, Longi. Just to get anything to the field would be a great play for right now. So it looks like he is going to bring out, it appears to be a Lead Ambusher, and it's kind of hard to tell what card is still at the top of the game. So he did use he's just explaining to Joe what card he's searching out. Zach is going to deal 400 damage to the Sacred. Not entirely sure what the health of the Sacred is at this moment. For future matches, what I'm going to do down the center of where the 2 game mats come, I'm going to create a mat that players can keep track of their health, so that way it's easier to keep track on the screen for both the gameplay and then put it up digitally on your right side. Zach, again, just looking through his graveyard to see what cards are there, trying to keep track of what Loyalists are still there and any cards that he maybe no longer has access to. So he's going to call out a Bar Bouncer, which this is a big card to bring out at this time. Again, the game can be a little swingy sometimes. If Joe loses a Sport State and he's not able to come back, he does have 8 Magicka, but that's not a whole lot to work with. Thankfully, he does have the Long Swordsman, which does make Tanis battle cards cost -4 Magicka to call the field, but we don't know what cards Joe has in his hand. That might be of no benefit to him, unfortunately. Okay, now Joe is going to be very tactful, and he's going to actually Wheat the Ula card. Wheat is a tremendous card that came out in set 2.5. It reads, if an opponent calls a battle card to the field with an effect, which Bar Bouncer does because it's non-bolded font, you may send this card from your hand to the graveyard to cancel that effect and destroy that card. And the specific text also explains that your opponent loses the Magicka that they would spend on their turn to play that card. So that ends Zach's turn, and now he's just trying to figure out, what do I still do? So it is Joe's turn. He is going to lay down a secret. One can wonder, because he is playing with a Tanis build, even though he's using primarily Silvermore. Maybe an Earthquake to keep some cards alive. Not really sure what other secrets he is running in the deck at the moment. There are a couple other good secrets that are in the game, but if he is using an exclusive Tanis build, that would be my assumption. So he does swing in with a Long Swordsman to kill the lead ambusher. He does deal a little bit of damage to the Sacred, and now Zach takes his turn. So he does call out an Ula. Again, sorry about the camera angle, but he does call another card to the top, and it's hard to tell what he calls. With the Ula the Rebel, Joe is going to choose to pick up the secret card that he laid to the field, as well as the prized beauty card. And now it's looking pretty even right now. Long Swordsman, though, does have a decent amount of health at 600 health. It is not a bleed battle card, so Zach still has to have enough attack to destroy this card. Not too sure how much health Joe is at right now for Sacred. Oh, I guess he was low enough, and now he is down to Skylight Fountain. So both players in Sacred Phase 3 at Skylight Fountain, and it's going to be really interesting, because now it's kind of a Russian roulette type deal where you don't want to attack and lose all your cards, because the next turn your opponent could lay a card and possibly deal enough damage to send you to the next Sacred. Now notice that Joe initially flipped his Sacred, and then he flipped it back over, and then he revealed it. Technically, you do not reveal your next Sacred till the start of your next turn. So even if your Sacred got destroyed during your turn, you have to wait till the start of your next turn to reveal that next Sacred. So it's kind of like a moment of reprieve. So your opponent still can lay down more battle cards and maybe try to destroy other battle cards that you have, but they can't deal damage to your other Sacred. So Joe is going to play Prize Beauty. He's going to discard a Time Scribe into his graveyard, which this is a pivotal card to have at this time in your graveyard. Unsure at the moment if Zach on the left has a Time Scribe in his graveyard, but especially when you have a Skylight Fountain, because Skylight Fountain has such little health, if your opponent's able to get off on a big turn and destroy a lot of your cards, at least you have a Time Scribe to keep you alive for one more time, giving you the ability to maybe play some more cards. So right now, Joe's trying to debate what cards do I want to attack with. Ula does have 500 health, and neither of the cards that Joe has on the field has enough health to get over the Ula. Again, not sure what card Zach has at the top of the board. Okay, it appears to be an Ice Archer, so Joe's going to swing in with Long Swordsman, kill that Ice Archer. That will go to the graveyard, and trying to figure out what's going to happen to the Ula the Rebel. Looks like Zach just moved it to the next slot. Joe did look at what secret he had, just to, again, kind of remind himself of what card he laid down, and it appeared to be a Lifelong Lesson spell, which is a Zenkel spell. Again, Zach has played a battle card to the top. The camera had to get adjusted periodically throughout this match, so that's why we cannot see it at this time. Based on the artwork, though, I'm led to say that it might be a Temple Teacher. Besides that, Zach is also going to call out a Winterton lead, I believe is what the card that is he just called to the field. That's what it appears to be, and Winterton Lead is a great card to have just in any Borum deck. Joe is going to play a Lifelong Lesson to see if he can get away, and unfortunately Lifelong Lesson has nothing in the graveyard to benefit off of, and so Zach just looked in his graveyard to confirm. What would have been good for Joe to do in that moment is, before he played that spell, he should have looked in Zach's graveyard to confirm that card was there. Now maybe that's something that could have been clarified in the rules of if you play a spell and unfortunately there's no card that meets the requirements of what that card wants to do. You know, maybe it's kind of a free gimme, or if you're trying to play competitive, maybe that's kind of the rule. A misplay is a misplay, unfortunately. So right now, if I were in either of their positions, I would certainly want to be in Zach's position. I know his Sacred has taken a little bit of hit, but again, he has Isabel on there. He's got, on top of the base 5 Magicka, it looks like he has 7 additional Magicka, and then he has 3 battle cards on the field. And I know he's got a decent size hand. He was able to get that card draw off the Temple Teacher, because unless he gave plus 100 attack to plus 100 to Ula on the board. Joe does have plus 3 Magicka on top top of his base 5. Does have Long Swordsman, which does have 600 health, which I think at this moment none of Zach's cards can get over, but we will see. And he does have the Prize Beauty on the field. So Zach right now just figuring out what he wants to do for his turn, figuring out if he wants to attack, maybe at least destroy that Prize Beauty, because I believe he can. Again, you got to be careful because once all those cards get destroyed, Skylight Fountain can get taken out very quickly. Yep, and we do have the audio turned down in the background, but Zach does state that he wants to keep cards on the field for the purpose of that. So Joe is going to play Tax Collector, which is a card that we don't see a lot, but maybe for this situation, this is a good card for Joe to play. Tax Collector, choose an opponent's token. That token does not give them a magic bonus on their turn. On your next turn, receive that token's abilities and effects as if it were yours. So unfortunately, this card does nothing for Joe on this turn. If he can last one more turn, though, he's going to get that +4 Magicka plus the token that he already has out on the field. So that could give him that nice Magicka bump that he needs to finish off this game. So right now, Zach is just explaining the amount of health that all of his cards has. So Joe's just trying to figure out which card he wants to swing with the Long Swordsman. He's going to destroy the Winterton lead. And now he does have 200 attack on that Tax Collector. Not sure how much attack Prize Beauty has. Looks like Joe's just going to pass turn. Zach does draw a card. Hard to tell what card he currently has in the moment. He does have a Northern Freeze, which again, Winterton was built to deal damage around battle cards that are on the field and get around defensive abilities, which Tanis usually has. So this is kind of a perfect counter to what Tanis Kingdoms like to do. Northern Freeze does give you the ability to deal damage directly to the Sacred. There is a Longi in there, and it doesn't look like Zach has a lot of cards in his hand at this moment, so Longi would be perfect just to get out in the field and maybe sacrifice an attack to just get cards in your hand because of the graveyard effect that it has. And Joe's just having to remind Zach that he does not have that 4 bonus from his 1 token, so he's only sitting at 8 Magicka right now. And they're just doing some math right now because of some cards that were played. And Zach's just trying to figure out what does he play. It looks like he has a he has another Winterton card in his hand, a lot of Winterton battle cards, so that's good for him. And it looks like that is the card that he's going to play. Just trying to get clarification on what card that is. He does swing in with that card that he just called to kill the tradesman. And just for clarification, that is a Longi rider that he calls the field. And that's going to end Zach's turn. He's going to pass. That Long Swordsman, 600 health, so he can't swing in and kill it yet. So Joe's just trying to figure out what cards does he want to get to the field and try to get an advantage over what Zach's board state is. He is going to call Mena Buff, which is a set 2.5 battle card. Mena Buff does boast a whopping 1,000 attack, which he's able to call because of that Magicka that he got off of the tradesman. So with Mena Buff, he's going to kill the Ula, which that is a pivotal kill to getting rid of that 500 health. Long Swordsman's going to attack Longi Rider, destroy that one as well. And now all of a sudden things are looking to be more in favor of Joe's position. We'll see. He's back down to his 8 Magicka, but we're going to see what can go on. Getting that Mena Buff card out there was pivotal. Only 300 health, unfortunately, but having 1,000 health, unless Zach can do something soon, it could be game over very soon. So Zach's just trying to figure out what cards do I call to the field. He really could just play those battle cards for any reason. Does have the Longi, does have Rage, but what else has he got? It does look like he had appeared to be either a Huntress or an Ice Archer. That is a Winterton Huntress, which you can deal 400 damage directly to an opponent's Sacred instead of attacking. So might be a good way to kind of chip around what's going on, but we will see what Zach has to do. He has plenty of Magicka, but he's kind of running out of ammunition when it comes to cards. He's going to choose to come out with Longi and Winterton Huntress. Longi does have Rage, 400 attack. So he's going to swing with Longi Rider to kill the Mena Buff, which that's a big hit for Joe. Unfortunately, he had no way to protect. And so now Zach is going to explain that he's going to use the effect of Winterton Huntress to hit the Skylight Fountain, which I believe will bring Joe's Sacred down to about 600 health. Again, all the numbers in the top right are approximates for right now. Definitely figuring out some better ways to keep track, but we definitely have a good gauge. I know Zach's health, or Zach's Sacred, has taken a little bit of some hits to itself as well, so they're definitely both on life support right now, but we will see what can happen. Now, unfortunately, Winterton Huntress's effect, that is a permanent effect, so every single turn, Zach can choose, instead of 600 base attack, he can choose to just deal 400 damage to the Sacred instead. Now, I do want to explain Northern Freeze. It does say deal 300 damage to an opponent's Sacred, or times 100 damage, where X is the number of Winterton battle cards on the field. So, we'll see what happens. Anyways, Joe just swinging with Long Swordsman to kill that Winterton Huntress, which is a great kill. Joe definitely had to do that if he wanted to try to stay alive, but now he only has one card on the field. He has a Prize Beauty. We will see what happens. Ooh, this could be a good draw for Zach. Zach does draw, it looks like, to be a Ice Archer. Which this one, you can choose one, you can draw a card, then discard a card, or you can deal 200 damage to an opponent's Sacred. And I think that's the game mode that Zach is in right now. So Zach is going to deal 200 direct damage to Joe's Sacred. Not sure how much health it brings him down to. And Joe just, unfortunately, is just running out of things right now. He does have a 4 token that he was able to throw down as well. So he has Magicka, but does he have cards to get around this? Unfortunately for Joe at this moment, because of the way Winterton plays, unless Joe can come out with a pretty strong turn, he's going to need to get a fast kill in, because Zach is just going to be able to keep playing some of these cheaper cards that deal roundabout small bits of damage that after a while take their toll. Joe right now is just kind of figuring out a card that he wanted to play, which is the Time of Solitude Zenkel set 2.5 spell, but unfortunately he just didn't maybe have enough Magicka at the time, and that card maybe could have helped him during this match. So I believe, so it is still Zach's turn. He is clarifying what damage he did, and Joe's adjusting his health, and Zach is going to play the Northern Freeze to deal 300 more damage. Okay, so it appears that the Northern Freeze either didn't go through all the way, or Zach might have miscalculated how much health Joe's Sacred had. But nonetheless, Joe takes his turn, he draws a card, and he does play a Mountain Yeti. If you're confused a little bit, that is the Mosaic version of Mountain Yeti, which was a card that originally came out in set 1. Mosaic was a special release in set 2.5. Joe swings in with Mountain Yeti to kill Ice Archer. And now Joe's just figuring out, does he do anything with that Prize Beauty? Unfortunately, though, I believe Prize Beauty does not have enough attack to do anything for Temple Teacher and Longi. Just got clarification, Joe's Sacred is at 100 health. So anything could happen soon. It just depends on what card Zach is able to play. We don't see what cards is in his hand right now. Does play another Longi, but that's not enough. The Longi does not have enough attack to get over Mountain Yeti. So at least he's getting cards to the board state, which makes it a little bit more difficult for Joe to get through. But this is good for Zach. Zach is using Isabel's impact ability. Not sure which one he is using. It sounds like he's using the first one, so he's giving that second Longi on the board plus 100 attack and health. So this could get a little sketchy. That actually puts that Longi at just enough attack to get over that Mountain Yeti. Ooh. What a great move for Joe. He plays a More Craftsman, which comes out at just the right time. More Craftsman, when called to field, give a battle card plus 100, plus 200. So that's going to put that Mountain Yeti at 700 health, which right now Zach cannot get over with any of his cards. So he does swing with that buffed Mountain Yeti at that buffed Longi. Before that card goes down, Zach is going to check his graveyard to see if he has a Time Scribe, to see if he has enough Winterton Loyalists to protect that card. excuse me, because right now this is definitely coming down to the wire, and it doesn't appear that Zach has any cards that can chip around cards that are on the field. There's no cards, unfortunately, in the graveyard. Longy does go to the graveyard, and what else is Joe gonna do? Joe can't spare to attack with any of those other cards because they would die if they try to attack any of those other cards on the field. Longy does have lower health at 200 health, so Prize Beauty and More Craftsman, both respectively, could swing in to kill that card, but he needs board state right now. Zach does draw. Joe passes turn. It's Zach's turn. He draws a Winterton Loyalist, which doesn't really do anything in terms of attacking a card, attacking a battle card or sacred. Does have 300 attack, but it's not really a chipping around, so we'll see what happens. Zach is going to do the impact 2 to bring that Longy's attack up to 500 attack. He just needs to build it up while he can. Zach only has one card in his hand. Alright, so Joe plays another More Craftsman, making that Mountain Yeti just that much better. That Mountain Yeti on the field is a huge card for Joe right now. The only thing that could kill Joe right now is if Zach is able to play a card that allows him to get around the cards that are on the field. So Joe is going to swing in with the Prize Beauty. He's starting to see that he might have this game in the bag, so he's going to decide to swing in with Prize Beauty. Zach is going to protect that Longy with a Winterton Loyalist. I'm not sure if he has any more left to spare, but right now Zach is just trying to hold on for dear life. He had enough Winterton Loyalists in his graveyard, so you can see he used that effect again. So Joe has to waste 3 attacks on 1 card to destroy Longy. He uses that Mountain Yeti to destroy the Temple Teacher, and now this game is in the bag unless Zach can draw a card. Zach does draw a Winterton Lead, and what does this card do? He is going to call a Winterton Lead, and with the Winterton Lead, he's going to search a battle card in his graveyard, or in his fortress, and really at this point, Zach can do nothing to build a big enough board state to win this game. This game is in the bag for Joe. The only thing Zach can do is possibly draw this Northern Freeze, which Joe has no counter spells. He's going to search for a Borum card. I'm not sure what he's going to do. He's going to either draw a battle card if he wants to go for the win, but I'm forgetting what Winterton Lee can search out for, whether it's a spell or a battle card. It looks like he is going to go for a Winterton Huntress, and that is going to, if that's the card that he ends up calling, that will definitely be GG, unfortunately, because again, instead of attacking, Winterton Huntress can deal 400 damage to an opponent's sacred, so it does not count as an attack, it just counts as an effect. Zach is just making sure that that's the best choice to make. It seems like it's the clear-cut option. Joe has already used a Time Scribe, so there's nothing that he can do to protect it. He's already used a Wheat. There's no other hand traps that Joe possibly has in his deck at this time. Zach does make it clear. He's probably laughing right now, thinking that he knew Joe was thinking that he had it in the bag, and Zach plays the killing card. What a game, and the game is over. Again, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. Anything that I want you to know about will be in the description box below, whether that's where you can get your hands on your very own Kingdoms TCG product on the Game Crafter, social media, which is the Facebook page. You can also play on Untap. Right now, set 1 is available on Untap. I will have to do a video on that in the future. And you can also check out the Wix website and the Discord where you guys can get other information for the game. I do want to end this video with a Bible talk, and I simply want to encourage you guys, and I probably have done this multiple times in the past. If you are someone that believes in Jesus Christ, I encourage you to, 1, make friends with others who believe in Jesus Christ just like you. And if you already have done that, I want to encourage you to try to talk to someone on a daily basis to kind of check in with each other and see how you guys are doing just in life. How do you feel like you're being as a son or daughter of Christ? How do you feel like you're being as a brother or a sister, as a son or a daughter, or even in maybe a case a father or a mother, depending on your age and where you find yourself in life. It's great to have daily contact and to encourage each other and to strengthen each other to live this life that we're supposed to live. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel, and whatever time of the day that you're watching this video, whether it be the morning, evening, or night, thank you so much for watching.